we'll be bringing you the most updated news on Iran and the Middle East. So, welcome back, everyone. Today, we are anticipating a possible massive operation by the United States on the Islamic Republic of Iran. As we speak, the Islamic Republic of Iran is having its missile cities hit. Kuwait, Bahrain, and Jordan are all receiving missiles and drones from the Islamic Republic in turn. So, the Middle East skies are quite busy at the moment. The airlift of equipment into the Middle East has continued and has reached almost 100 refueling tankers. The U.S. issues yet again another alert for possible escalation in the Middle East this weekend, prompting Israel to be at peak alertness. Trump met earlier today with top advisors in a National Security Council meeting to discuss the strikes in Iran, and JD Vance was not invited or attended. China and Russia have been issued a warning not to interfere in Iran, and a Russian's weapon shipment to Iran via the Caspian Sea was destroyed last night in a U.S. strike. We're also able to hear that Russia has signaled to the United States that they are ready to end the Ukraine-Russia war. The Houthis have targeted yet again another ship today and are receiving warheads on foreheads as of the past hour from the Saudi military. In addition to all that, we'll bring you the analysis of the internal workings of the Islamic Republic of Iran so you guys have a better understanding. With that, I want to begin with a conflict timeline that we have of everything so we can get some expectations in order. The conflict timeline is a particularly dear image to me, which I will be showing you guys in this. There we go. So I'll pull it up here. Armin, what do you think is going to happen regarding the midterms that are coming up in, I think it's, we have another about 40 days until the midterms pop up.
Ooh, really? That close?
Yes. Yeah, there it is. There's that picture. It escaped me for a second. All right, guys, this is going to be the timeline for the conflict that we have. I'll share this with you all. So let's take a look. I will zoom in for you guys so you don't have to do it yourselves. And we can begin, as we saw back in February. We have all the months here covered. We have the negotiations, we have the war, everything down to the ceasefire, MOU, even the UFC event. We are currently we are in this phase right here. It's the US blockade and the sanctions are back, and we're about to hit August. So August is this row, this purple row, where sand and dust storms in the Middle East have reached their peak season. And September 18th is when early midterm voting begins. So it seems like if we're going to go by the assumption that the midterms are incredibly important and nothing will happen during them, looks like the month of August here that's rolling up next week is going to be of utmost importance. However, there are going to be some sand and dust storms. Heat is incredibly high in the southern coast of Iran at the moment and pretty much throughout the country. Do you think that if we don't see something happen in the next 40 days until September 18th, that everything will get thrown until after the midterms, which is November 4th? So if it's not next month, it'll be 4 months from now. I want to see what people in the chat also think about that. It's really hard to say, but yeah.
So there's two theories. Yeah, so go on, talk to the chat. You were sorry, I thought that you were done. Go on.
No, I just want to see what people in the chat have to say, but I also want to hear what you have to say.
Yes. You guys tell us what you think in the channel. There's two theories, and you guys tell me which one you agree with more. Okay. One theory suggests that United States is not going to do anything until the midterms because inflation, because oil prices up, gas at the pump you're going to pay more, inflation goes up, bad for midterms. Another theory says that what's bad for the midterms is no results for the war against the Islamic Republic. So the President Trump needs to show something that could be demonstrable as a complete win, like the Strait of Hormuz being open or something that shows that the Islamic Republic has submitted, that not being able to demonstrate that will be more devastating for the midterms than inflation. Okay. So this theory suggests that President Trump has to do something fast, and it's already too late before the midterms, right? So the theory that American voters are going to be more impacted by high oil prices, high gas prices, and inflation suggests that President Trump should wait after the midterms. The theory that suggests that no, President Trump, for the sake of the midterms, should show that something has already been achieved, something significant has been achieved in the war against the Islamic Republic, suggests that he should do something before the midterms. So what do you think, Ali, based on those two?
I've had this feeling since the beginning that whatever he wanted to do would be before the midterms, and it's not really his choice. But I'll say a couple things about that. But in terms of oil reserves and prices and potential messing up of the US economy, I think he has much more to lose than to gain here. And if he does, as you just said, the most important part, have something to show, which would be this operation we're anticipating at literally any second now, to get the Strait of Hormuz out of the grasp of the Islamic Republic. Oil prices come down. The US has much more breathing room, even potentially able to sit back. They open up their options a ton with that. So it would really seem like he should act here. It's the smarter thing to do. And I don't believe that Trump wakes up in the morning and says, "Today I feel like hitting the Islamic Republic," or "Today I don't." I think these plans are very much thought out and drawn and worked on, and he's presented many different options with many different foreseeable predictions that go along with them. So in my opinion, I think we're due for something sooner rather than later. I do think, though, with this operation that we're going to see any day, we could see the Israelis join in to mow the lawn, do what they're best at, decapitate the leadership of the Islamic Republic while the U.S. takes the strait. And then tactically, the U.S. can actually sit back, keep control of the strait, and keep on mowing the lawn in Islamic Republic leadership until someone emerges who's willing to completely either surrender or do whatever that the US and Israel needs them to do. It does seem that's one viable strategy.
Yeah, so that would be the ideal strategy, right? I mean, we could only dream. There's one argument. I'm not saying this is a good argument, but there's one argument for why we should. I mean, why some people argue that Israel should sit this one out. I don't agree with it, but they're saying that one reason why the Arab countries did not get involved is because they didn't want to be on the same side of a war with Israel. And the United States wants the Arab countries to do more. And there's now more reports that suggest that a lot of the missiles going at the Islamic Republic has been coming out of, I don't know, UAE. I don't know if Saudi Arabia was there or not, but UAE and Saudi Arabia. And that's the main reason why they're not being hit. It's not because of any financial deal that the UAE or Saudi Arabia had with the Islamic Republic. Is because they actually responded with missiles. And that's why the Islamic Republic is focusing on Kuwait, Bahrain, and Jordan. And if these other countries also start responding, just like UAE and Saudi Arabia have, then the Islamic Republic will stop responding to them as well, right? That is another. And some people are saying, like, look, this is why UAE is not getting attacked, because they're responding, and we need to get everybody here to start responding. This is their neighborhood, but these countries don't want to be participating in a war. And I know it's kind of ridiculous. It's very ridiculous. But these countries don't want to show the Islamic world that we are in the same side of a war with Israel. So there's some push to hold Israel back so that these countries could actually participate. Again, guys, that's not my argument, okay? Don't come at me. Put your tomato. Stop. I see that rotten tomato. I see that. Put it away. I'm just reporting to you other people's suggestions here.
Yeah, and
Ooh.
I can definitely see that. We'll actually talk about that when we talk about Saudi Arabia in just a second. They are approved to have a nuclear program between the United States and Saudi here on the condition that they make peace and good relations with Israel, which would be historic. It's never happened before. So we'll get to that. I want to show you guys the map of the strikes last night over Iran, and you can see that they've steadily crept up much more in terms of going into central Iran with some heavy B-1 explosions happening around this area in central Iran there. We already have reports of explosions for tonight, striking as far as north in the Mazandaran province or Golan province of Iran. So that's pretty far up and out of the way, and as well as the southwest being struck at the moment. Now, a lot of things are pointing to us going straight back to a war, possibly even tonight, this weekend. You have Canada warning its citizens in the Middle East, along with the United States. They've issued multiple warnings. France, Britain, China, Israel opened its shelters. The strategic B-1 bombers, the B-2, B-52s are in theater. Al-Zaidi came back from his visit to Tehran. There's a massive air bridge of equipment coming in from Europe and the uh, Americas. So we actually have images. We'll show you guys about that as well. So like this is a HIMAR truck that's loaded onto a Super Hercules plane and put into one of the Kuwaiti bases. So I think that's an engineering marvel, for example, that you're able to load this big boy up onto a plane and just bring him in, which is, it's the genius of the military of the United States. We have a new $70 billion budget allocated for the war on Iran, and the US military budget is the largest in the world, so it's not like it can't commit that fight anyway. Congress also failed to block Trump's war powers, so that will continue. And it largely seems, I want to see if you agree with this or not. I was thinking last night in the car and I was driving back about this whole situation. And it has to do between JD Vance and Marco Rubio and how Trump plays them. Not against each other, he just lets them play against each other. He has nothing to fuel it. So I think his style, Donald Trump's style of being a president, is to create some sort of discussion or argument, and he allows his own administration to go against each other. Whoever emerges victorious, he will go towards that person and that policy and adopt what they're saying. We saw Marco Rubio and JD, they took complete opposite stances on the Islamic Republic. Marco is, hey guys, this is the reality. They're never going to stop. They're going to be the murderous, evil dictators that they are. And JD says, well, we can probably talk to them. And after we talk to them, we can pull out and everything will be fine. At this point, it's pretty clear who won that. I think Marco won that. And so going by that, Trump has now picked up on the military aspects. We've seen the last this is the 14th night in a row that the US is striking Iran and striking IRGC targets. I believe that Marco's won. And that doesn't mean to say we can't go back to the JD doctrine, which is negotiate. We can, and Trump has explicitly stated that in his interviews today with the press. But it seems like whoever has more popularity or whoever has the most momentum in that moment, Trump will adopt their policy, as long as it benefits what he thinks in his own head. And I don't think he shares what's in his head with anybody. And that's how he's able to give himself political maneuverability, unpredictability. He flips between different strategies. People think he's unpredictable. He's not. I think if you follow the people in his administration and see what Bessent, Marco, and JD and Hexeth are doing, it's pretty clear that those are his four prongs of attack, with perhaps even JD being a fall guy based on of some of his incompetence that we've actually seen lately. What do you think that Trump's, rhyme or reason is?
For what exactly?
For this whole conflict? Because I'm saying it's not like he's completely unpredictable or completely without any sort of reason. It's like whatever policy at the time is most beneficial,
I mean,
he goes with that.
I mean, I've heard this strategy that people claim that Trump uses a strategy a lot. Like this is something, and honestly, you can never tell if that's what's happening or not because nobody can read their mind. But I've seen so many people based on what they observe saying that this is Trump's strategy, and it's not necessarily what's popular. It's whoever wins, whoever demonstrates to have the upper hand in their, in demonstrating that their way is the right way. And I think that's a smart model. It's basically very Darwinian. It's based on
Yeah.
competition. Instead of making it determining what's the right way, you let all sides make their case and see who comes on top and then make the decision accordingly. It's actually not a I think it's not a coincidence. We saw at first, like you saw a lot of Rubio speaking, and then for a period of time when the MOU talk was happening, then Rubio was not speaking that much. He was like not speak. You could see he's silent. He's just in there in the background. And JD Vance was speaking
Yep.
a lot. And then
Exactly.
now we're going back to Rubio speaking a lot. So that might be sign that we're about to do something big because Rubio is now the one who's being presented and in
Yeah.
the front scenes. Yeah.
And after we do something big, it doesn't mean that we can't go back to negotiations either, because JD is going to make another appearance if my instincts tell me anything at this point. Let's see what Donald Trump himself had to say today. He had the press come in and ask him questions. Honestly, his interview was just supposed to be about energy. All the questions ended up being about Iran. Let's take a look at what he has to say about them.
The exit strategy.
Well, I think there's a lot of them. There's a military exit where we just keep going just the way we are, and we can even make it a heavier dose, and it's knocking out everything they have. Or there's a smarter strategy, and that's you make a deal, and they want to make a deal. I just don't think they're ready yet, but they do want to make a deal. Sometimes they don't want to say they want to make a deal. They want to be the tough guys, but they do want to make a deal. There's two ways. I mean, it's you can just keep doing exactly what we're doing and take them apart piece by piece. We could do it in a more rapid fashion, which we might do, or we can negotiate with them, which we're also doing right now. I mean, as we speak, we're talking to them.
And you
As we speak, we're talking to them. If you guys watched the live yesterday, we told you that al-Zaidi, the prime minister of Iraq, visited Washington last week. And it seems like he got some instructions, some messages from Donald Trump to pass to the Islamic Republic, because when al-Zaidi went back to the Middle East, he did go to Tehran, he did talk to the Ayatollahs, and he did deliver him that message. Now, that message from Donald Trump was rejected outright from the Islamic Republic, which tells us that the demands were not something that the Islamic Republic were willing to accept. They are still talking, and it is very, very possible that we can see a last-second upset, that the operation does not go through. Maybe they wait a little bit longer. Maybe they carry out the operation and then go back to the negotiations. It seems like Donald Trump really does prefer that option, to be always present for himself. With that, we have some of the Saudi air and Houthi activity that's been going on. So we'll show you guys that. Once again, the Houthis have targeted another ship, incurring some minor damage on a Saudi vessel, hitting the hull of it. I don't know if it was with a RPG or some sort of, drone, but the ship's okay, and it actually prompted a Saudi-led coalition. Now, I don't know who else is joining the coalition. I can take a guess that it is the U.S. as well. And today they have been bombarding Hodeidah, which is one of the Houthi strongholds. And we can see that this has been geo-confirmed, that this area, which is on fire, is pretty much right on the coast and the port. Turns out, from what we know from Al Arabiya, some of the local news reporting, it was a weapons depot of the Houthis. They actually started striking multiple of them, and residents are reporting multiple secondary explosions, suggesting that the weapons inside the weapons depot are also catching fire and blowing up. The United States, in the other strait that's in the Middle East, which is quite important, we can go right across next door to the Strait of Hormuz here, where I actually just got some breaking news for you guys that the U.S. military has now supposedly disabled a second merchant ship trying to violate the blockade. So, yes, so as per CENTCOM, their spokesperson, Captain Hawkins, we hear from, the MT Levine tried to run the blockade 4 times. It was warned multiple times. They did not comply. And the US military fired a Hellfire missile into the engine room. So that is a second disabled tanker. I have a crazy theory for you guys. And Armin, I wanted to get your opinion on this. There's a something incredibly interesting that just happened last night. If you guys remember a couple weeks ago, the United States seized a tanker by the name of Wen Yao or Ajin. That tanker, surprisingly enough, and it was seized by the Marines. The Marines boarded the vessel, took it. I don't know what happened to it afterwards. No one did. I didn't find anything on it. Out of nowhere, that ship is back and just went straight through the blockade. So the first time it tried to go a couple weeks ago, they took the ship, they boarded it. No one knows what happened to it. But now, and no one's talking about this, by the way, the same ship went straight through the blockade in the dead of night last night. No one's talking about it. I don't understand. What changed this?
Through the blockade the other way around, though.
Yeah, to enter.
Okay, so the blockade is one way, right? I think maybe the Americans are operating it.
Well, it seems like CENTCOM declared that no Iranian vessels would be traversing the blockade. I guess they didn't specify specifically.
Okay, but maybe it's under the control of the Americans?
So that's my theory. Did it dock in a port in Yemen? We can actually see in that picture that it's coming from the south there. I wasn't able to confirm anything more because if I show you guys this image, it just ends. It just starts right there. It had its transponder completely off, turns it on right off the coast of Oman, enters the blockade, and goes through. Did the Americans seize it? Did the Americans put weapons on it for the Iranian people? Did the Americans put troops on it? Is there something happening?
Why would it turn its transponders on if it's with the Islamic Republic? Like, oh, watch us go through your blockade. Like, I'm not.
Yes.
So
exactly.
Okay, so, right. So I think it's probably controlled by the Americans.
Isn't that interesting? This ship just turns on its transponder here. It's sanctioned, by the way. It's had to change its name multiple times. It has shell companies, it has all that. They seized it. The Marines boarded, checked the vessel, took it. No one knows where it went or what happened to it. And now all of a sudden, as of last night, it appears out of nowhere and goes in.
Look, it only turns it on while going through the blockade. I think they turned it on so that everybody could see, like, hey, don't shoot at us. We're doing this. So I think it's controlled by, like, my guess is that the Americans are controlling it. Because why would it? If it's the Islamic Republic, why would you turn it on exactly when you're trying to do the dangerous thing of going through the blockade? Like, it makes no sense.
Exactly. So that could be something. If we see that in the future, guys, that's going to be something interesting that I've only seen maybe 1 or 2 other people on the entirety of the internet talking about. I thought people kept track, more of these vessels that were seized by the U.S., but I couldn't really find anything there. Speaking of U.S. action, I want to show you guys a couple of really cool clips before we get into the breaking news of tonight. So I've downloaded this video because I believe that that's a better way of being able to show you guys. And here it is. Pause it for you. So this is some dash cam footage inside of Iran. And this man's driving on the road, right? Just as you do at night. Maybe you're heading back home. And out of nowhere, he notices something that perhaps shouldn't be there. Let's check it out. Ooh, there it is, just on the side of the road. Wait.
Oh my God. That's what something you see every day. Imagine you're like driving and like, holy crap, what is that? Where is this?
I wasn't able to find which road this was on, This
Oh,
is just a clip that started circulating last night, coming out of Iran in various channels. So let's actually just watch that again. You're just coming out, and then I like how no one slowed down or pulled over or anything. Like if I saw that on the side of my screen, I would be like, "That okay? That's a ballistic missile. Let's get the hell out of here. I don't know why I'm still here. Let's turn around or something." Didn't care. Just didn't care.
the missile is just launched. Honey, you won't believe what I just saw on my way home. I mean, I don't know. Is that a ballistic missile? Why is it just there,
Yeah.
like on the side of the road?
It's just
Shouldn't
one
it
of the
be in the middle
launchers
of
there.
nowhere?
Yeah, they
okay.
just hide the launchers.
Okay.
Let's go a quick little incursion into Russia before we go back to Iran, because it does actually tie into this. If you guys are wondering how Russia is doing, let's first show you another clip just like this while we talk about how Russia is actually doing. So this is a Russian air defense system, and that is a Ukrainian drone. What it's about to strike into is what they call Millberry, something berry warehouse, some sort of industrial zone for the Russians. And we can see that the Russians, at the very last possible moment, managed to pick up the drone, and that's the area it was about to hit. Now, this is one of their very rare interceptions, actually, in the city of St. Petersburg, but it's not looking so good for them. It's really, really not looking so good for the Russians. Here's what's happening. Marco Rubio just had an ASEAN summit in the Philippines. He talked about global shipping with all these different companies and countries. And Sergey Lavrov, the foreign minister of the Russian Federation, who's usually so disrespectful and dismissive of the Americans, was actually begging Marco to meet with him. Throughout the entirety of the summit, people reported that he was trying to get his attention. And finally, Marco gives in. They go into a side room at the summit and they have a meeting, both staff. And staff actually were allowed to come in, sorry, press were allowed to come in and ask questions. And then Marco actually gets really pressured by Lavrov to kick them out. And so they get kicked out as well. So no press were present during the actual meeting, just right before it. Here's what's happening. I'm going to tie two things together. Zelensky is now scheduled to meet with Donald Trump next week, the same week that Benjamin Netanyahu is now once again scheduled to come back to the White House. And that's just a few days after Marco meets with Sergey Lavrov in the Philippines. Zelensky has stated that he is word for word ready to sign a peace agreement and that it's completely depending on Donald Trump. Lavrov met with Marco Rubio, I believe, to give him the red lines and the limits of what Russia is able to accept in this meeting. And it seems like they do want to make some sort of peace agreement. And I believe Marco has now presented them to Donald Trump.
My name is Armin Navabi. I'm an Iranian political analyst with decades of experience fighting the Islamic regime inside and outside of Iran. Make sure you follow me for more, and also make sure you join our discussion group. I'm there almost every single day. Come talk to me there and the rest of the people there in our group calls. It's a great place to meet and talk to people who like talking about politics. The link is in the description and or in the bio. You could also get there by scanning the QR code on the screen. See you there.